One place that hasn't moved on, though, it has to be said, had a dreadful summer as well. A lot of rain, a lot of natural disasters in the last wee while, made worse by the ferals going mad. In Gisborne, tensions have escalated to such an extent between rival gangs in Gisborne that the police say it poses a very real threat. And I take this quite seriously because the police don't like to say this unless it usually is true. The police say it poses a very real threat to the lives of those involved and innocent members of the public. Police have launched a significant operation in the Gisborne area. They've issued a gang conflict warrant under legislation that was introduced, I think, about 2 years ago. What all that means, and are people in Gisborne in danger from gang activity? We're joined by Tairāwhiti Area Commander Inspector Danny Kirk. He joins us now. Inspector Kirk, lovely to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Michael.
Okay, mate, what's the problem?
Look, the Tairāwhiti area, which just for people's references, includes Wairoa to the south, Gisborne City itself, and then north Upstate Highway 35 to Hicks Bay, has, as people will know, a history of a significant gang presence across all of those areas. What we see is that from time to time there is an escalation of conflict between rival gang members in different communities within our area. And so when things start to escalate as they have been recently, we have to provide a response that is proportionate to the threat that's posed. And so in this situation, we have applied to the court for a gang conflict warrant, which gives us quite extensive search powers to really get on top of the gangs and give them a good going through in terms of finding out what they're up to and having a look inside vehicles, etc.
So does it give you sort of search and seizure powers? Is that right, Danny?
Yeah, so the gang conflict warrant itself gives us the ability to, within certain boundaries that the court specify, stop any vehicles that are either connected to offending that has already occurred in relation to the ongoing gang conflict that is occurring at the time, but also to stop and search those vehicles if they are occupied by gang members that are known to us or associates of gang members that are known to us. We can then search those vehicles, and the warrant provides for that, whether or not those vehicles or the occupants within them have been involved in a criminal offence or not.
Right, okay. And whether or not you have reasonable cause to believe that an offence has been is underway or not. So, as I understand it, the judge needs to be satisfied, and I think I'm reading from the Act, that there were reasonable grounds to believe that A, a gang conflict exists, B, one or more gangs involved in the gang conflict are in a specified area, which I guess is Tairāwhiti in your case, and C, that the issuing of the warrant could reduce the risk of harm to people or property. Have I got that right?
Yes.
Okay. So what are the one or more gangs involved in the conflict then? Is that Black
At the
Power
moment,
mongrel mob?
Yes, you're right. So at the moment, the conflict that we're seeing play out in Tairāwhiti is between the mongrel mob and the Black Power and or Mangukaha.
Right. Traditional Maori-based gangs. Now, they've been around, as you say, for a very, very long time in the area in which you police. What's been the cause of this most recent escalation?
It's difficult to point to any one specific incident that has been the cause of this latest episode or episodes of violence. But what I can tell you is that there tends to be sometimes a very, very minor issue. Once we unpack everything and find out what's at the heart of all of this, it can be attributed to a very minor issue or a very minor disagreement about something that has happened previously. That then results in retaliation or retribution from the other side, and so you end up in a quid pro quo situation where we're going backwards and forwards, one having a crack at the other, and so on it goes.
Is this happening throughout the entire Tairāwhiti area that you've described from Wairoa to Hicks Bay, or are there specific areas that are particularly afflicted?
So one of the earlier incidents, and so I'll take you back sort of last weekend, there was you'll probably be aware of an incident in Whitehall where there was shots fired at the Frasertown Tavern. That was Whitehall specific. We don't believe that what is happening currently in Gisborne City is connected to what happened in Whitehall. There has been one incident that occurred earlier last week in Te Araroa, which is right at the top of the East Cape. And again, whether or not that is connected to what's currently happening in town and Gisborne City itself, we're not quite sure.
But you're saying that all those, so you're saying that these events seem not to be connected. One doesn't immediately escalate to the other. They seem to have started of their own volition, have they?
What I'm saying is that there are three distinct areas where things have happened. One, yeah. Whitehall, Gisborne, 3, Te Araroa. I can't link in terms of what's happening or has happened in each of those three locations to each other.
I take it that the shooting at Frasertown Tavern, in which, as I understand, a variety of shots were fired into the tavern itself, no one was hit. Is that correct? No one was injured.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
But nonetheless, that's what leads you to believe now, that particular incident, that innocent members of the public are at risk from this gang conflict, yeah?
Innocent members of the public are always at risk from gang conflict when it plays out in public spaces like we are seeing currently. We don't have to, there are plenty of instances or have been several cases in the past around the country where it's only been by a matter of chance where other innocent people, whether they be children, elderly, or just other members of the public going about their business, have by sheer luck avoided being injured or seriously hurt in gang crossfire or not just involving firearms, but actually violence occurring in public places where other people just happen to be in the vicinity.
You say, well, I've seen some public comments you've already made, Danny, about the fact that you're talking to the leadership of these variety of these gangs, and you're trying to send them a pretty clear message of, taihaha, etc. Are the leadership of these gangs specific to areas, or do you have a large number of leaders depending, across that particular Tairāwhiti area?
Well, it's dependent really on the different chapters, which I won't go into the specifics of it, but suffice to say that there are some gang chapters that are locally based, and their names would reinforce that essentially. But then there are gang chapters which are essentially national chapters. So gang leaders, you sometimes also have situations where there are locally based chapters, but the leader of a certain chapter may not actually live locally, but is prepared to come back and work through issues when they arise.
Are you getting cooperation from gang leaders at the moment or not?
Yes, we are. So that's probably one of the first things that we look to in terms of being able to understand what's going on. So at the end of the day, the New Zealand Police can undertake enforcement activity. We can disrupt, we can suppress, we can undertake all of those core functions that really sit with us in terms of our remit to protect the public. But when it comes to actually de-escalating and understanding what's going on, ensuring that we can engage with gang leaders and encourage them to then engage with one another to sort out what's been happening is critical. And so, yes, in this case, gang leaders have engaged with us and they have moved forward and have been in discussions with one another about bringing a resolution.
The gang insignia legislation that was brought in by this government was meant to give you the powers to basically harass them on a daily basis. Have you required or used that at all? Has it been of any assistance in this particular case?